Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
The calendar has officially flipped to 2023, and we still don't know what the Bulls are going to do. They could be sellers at the deadline. They could be making a move. There's a big stretch coming up here. Split the last back-to-back to end 2022. Going to dive into everything about this team. We're going to look ahead a little bit to the trade deadline as well on today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Nick Schultz. Hope everybody's having a happy and safe new year. Alongside my partner, former Bulls Bench Bob member and Tennessee Vols C.J. Watson. CJ, there's still a lot of unknowns with this team as we're flipping the calendar. But, I mean, big stretch coming up here this week.
Yeah, it's a big stretch. Bulls closed the 2022 on a semi-good basis, so just seeing what 2023 would bring, and hopefully it's a lot better.
They ended the year well after that Timberwolves game. We wrote them off for dead. They should be 5-1 after that game, but the referees didn't call a foul on DeMar DeRozan's shot for the second time this year. And now they're going into 2023 with a loss, going to Cleveland. There's so much to get to with these guys. But before we do, I have to tell you all about our great friends at BetOnline. Basketball is in full swing. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You will always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. It is always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. NFL playoffs are just around the corner. Week 18 is coming up fast, and the national championship is set for college football. Georgia and TCU, who'd have thought that a few months ago? You can bet on everything there at BetOnline. What are you waiting for? Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Get that 50% bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. That college football playoff semifinal last week. Those are two of the best games I've ever watched. I covered one of them. That was crazy. National championship should be fun as well. Don't forget, we also have an official store of the network and an official t-shirt of the show. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, available exclusively at shop.believe.com. The guys do a great job putting that together. There's stuff to support all of the shows on the network, but the official shirt of our program, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, at the Believe shop. There's a lot of goodies there, like this hat that I keep wearing on the show as well. So Bulls ended the calendar year on a back-to-back. They blew out the Pistons, finally. They didn't look like they were going to, but they did. 132-108, Zach LaVine, 43 points. I got thoughts on Zach coming up in a second. Then the next day, Cavs beat him 103-102. DeMar DeRozan missed a buzzer beater, but the last 2-minute report said he was indeed foul. That's the second time this year that has happened. The Bulls, I mean, they are just getting lit up. Offensive glass, three-point shooting. It's just, they've got to shore these things up, and they're not showing many signs of it.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think that's what we've been saying the whole year. Guarding the three-point line, guarding the perimeter is a big thing, and like you said, offensive rebounds also. Hopefully, they can kind of clear those things up, and get back to their winning ways.
So my guy Kevin Anderson, Bulldog Anderson, over at NBC Sports Chicago, he does a great job leading the Bulls content there. I mean, he did that when I interned there. He's still doing a great job. He put out a tweet. He gets all these random stats out there. I don't know where he finds this stuff. And in the Bulls' last 3 games, they have given up in their top 5 second chance points allowed. That can't keep happening. You're seeing these trends game in, game out, second chance points and 3-point shooting. I mean, I feel like a broken record when we come on here talking about these needs at that area. But the reality is that's the biggest weakness of this team, and they're not getting better. That's worrisome for me as we're getting into trade season here. So you've either got to make a move to put yourself in the playoff position, or you're going to end up sellers at the deadline.
Yeah, it just goes back to the point, like, what are they watching in film? Like, what are they doing in practice? You keep saying the same thing over and over. And hopefully, obviously as a former player, you would want to, take heed to it and kind of change that. But the Bulls keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And like I said, I don't know if they're really getting the point, or no one's not telling them, or I don't know what the situation is.
I mean, the best way, I said it over and over, this team is just absolutely maddening this year. You're seeing just the same mistakes, but someone who seems to be getting better is Zach LaVine. I feel like we're starting to see the Zach LaVine we've been waiting for this year. 43 points against Detroit. I want to say he had 18 or something like that in the first quarter. I even tweeted, this is the Zach LaVine we've been waiting for. Not so much on the defensive end, but we knew that going in. But it seems like he's becoming Zach again.
Yeah, I think so. I think just over time of the season, players start to find their rhythm, find their roles, and just be more aggressive at certain points. I know back when I was playing and I went to different teams, it took me a couple months, like around December, January was when I started to really find my role and find, having a good 5 or 6 games in a row, and keeping that ball rolling. So I think, around this time we'll see him to continue to score more, but hopefully, like you said, bring the defense also with it.
Exactly. And I know it's one thing to drop 43 points on the Pistons. I mean, they're not a good team this year. They're down Cade Cunningham for the year. They're going to be in contention for that number 1 pick in Victor Wembanyama, which everybody wants
Right.
Victor Wembanyama. Like that's why everybody wants the Bulls to tank, even though it's probably not the best idea. But that's neither here nor there. But even beyond the stats, you watch him around the rim. I know there are stats that prove this, but he's getting better around the rim. The 3-point shot is coming back. He's got that explosiveness that we've been waiting to see with, coming back from the knee injury, what made him so dangerous. So the fact that he's coming into his own here, how important is that for this team, which is currently 4 games under 500?
That's very important. Like he's a franchise player. He's the guy that we need to be aggressive every single night offensively, and we need him to score. So being him being aggressive and being finding his rhythm is going to help the team in numerous amounts of ways, and it's going to free up things for other people also.
And I've been outspokenly critical of Zach LaVine this year. I mean, I feel like we both have, with especially on defense. You got to play both ends of the court. I mean, yep. I know you're big on that. I know, like, that's my big thing. You got to play both ends, but you give credit where it's due. He's finding a rhythm, and we have asked the question. We talk about trades, and we're going to get into like a bigger conversation, kind of, about trade season right now. Zach LaVine is eligible to be traded now. We have said don't do that, like at least for this year. If he keeps playing like this, as you reassess this roster, he's the guy you have to build around, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think you definitely build around him rather than DeMar. He's younger, like you said, definitely coming off a knee injury, but definitely getting his legs and stuff back. So I think building around him would be great. Find another big man to pair with him, like you said, a point guard. Hopefully, if Lonzo doesn't come back the rest of this year or even in the future. So definitely, he's one to build around and hopefully see the foreseeable future for the Bulls to get to the playoffs and make runs.
Yeah, who knows when or if Lonzo's coming back. It sounds like he's been getting shots up for Billy Donovan, like very little shooting. I don't think he can jump a lot, but it sounds like there's progress there. Yeah. It's still wait and see if he comes back. I'm really glad we're done with the when Lonzo comes back conversation, because it could be this month, it could be next month, it could be next year. We don't know. So yeah, I agree with you. Bring in another big, maybe, or I mean, Vooch is on an expiring contract. That's part of the conversation I want to get to with the trade season. We're a little more than a month away from the trade deadline. This team's 4 games under 500. They're the 11th seed as we flip to January. When this podcast drops, they'll play another game against Cleveland. That could make an impact. But essentially a month out from the deadline, we keep saying they need to make a move. And that's why I think Zach LaVine needs to be the cornerstone when you're going through the deadline. Then it's about, okay, let's build it around him. Even Ayo Dosunmu he scored his 1,000th point, by the way. That's amazing. Second round pick doing that before the new year. Like, he's played a season, not even a season and a half.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I think those are the guys you look at, and you have to have conversations about trading DeMar. And I think Nikola Vucevic is a prime trade candidate.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think everyone's on the trading block at this point. Front office has a lot to do, like you said, and to really figure out who they want to build around and what pieces they want to keep, what pieces they want to trade. So I think they have a lot of work to do in the next, month and a half or whatever, and try to see if they can really, bolster this roster to make a run for this year, or just really tank and get ready for next year.
We have been adamant about not blowing this thing up.
Yeah.
When I talk about making a move, I don't mean blow it up. I'm talking, there's got to be a way. I'm having you put your GM hat on. I'm asking you to be GM CJ right now.
Yeah.
You can, with this roster, make a trade and not go into a rebuild, right? I think that's sustainable with this group.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that's what, I mean, if I was the GM, that's what I want to do. Like, as you can see throughout the season, the Bulls have enough to win games in the NBA. They just kind of can't really get it in that crunch time situations. Obviously, I hate the last 2-minute report, because why would you say someone got fouled but you didn't call it? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But the Bulls have enough with this roster that they currently have to win games and to make it to the playoffs. So I think you definitely have to find some way to make a trade here and there to make this roster a little better so you can make a run in the playoffs. Obviously, you might not be championship material, but you never know what happens in the NBA. So you just never know. So just try to figure it out as close as you can.
See, this is my thing when it comes to tanking. And I mean, I've been with the Bears, it's been a completely different story because I mean, that roster is just bad. But I don't like comparing different sports, but just for the sake of argument, like I have been on the train for the Bears to tank this year. There's no lottery. They've got the second worst record in the NFL. They've got the second pick. They've got a chance to get the first pick.
Right.
The NBA, you got a lottery. So you would be not only losing a lot of games, but you'd be putting your chances of the number one pick in literally a lottery drawing, like wherever the lottery balls fall. So I think as a major market team, now, I mean, let's say that I could be saying this about the Knicks. I could be saying this about the Lakers and Clippers. I don't want to rebuild. Like you can retool and still be competitive. Like, so you don't get a top 4 pick. Okay. There are still dudes you can go get.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And definitely you can get better in the offseason and free agency. So the draft is definitely a way to bolster your roster, but I wouldn't just depend on it. Like I said, let's live in the now moment and let's live with the team we have now and make a couple moves to get better. And if not, just wait for the offseason.
I mean, one team you can look at is the Pistons. They're building through the draft. I think Cade Cunningham's going to be a really good player if he gets healthy. Jaden Ivey was one of my favorite players coming out of Purdue. He's going to look good. I think they're building through the draft. Houston, who, by the way, just blew the doors off the Bulls, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. They're building through the draft. They've got some good pieces. I'm really high on Jalen Green. They're building through the draft. They're looking long-term. I mean, that's a long, painful rebuild process. You are in market number 3. You are a big market team. Act like it. Don't tear this thing down. So you break up your big 3. You can still get DeMar DeRozan's trade value is very good. I think you can still get something for Nikola Vucevic too. If you can acquire a first-round pick, you don't need to tank.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, every market is different, and the fans in Chicago, they want to win. They're not about rebuilding. So you want to keep your fan base. You don't want to make your fans mad. You don't want, you still got to sell tickets and all that kind of stuff. So the Bulls can still be competitive and still compete for championships. It's just, what is the front office going to do? Which way are they going to go? And hopefully, it's they make the right moves.
Well, and that question is one that we're going to keep asking because Arturas and Mark Eversley, they don't leak. You don't find out a lot about this stuff. I remember when the Nikola Vucevic trade went down, I remembered it because I was between jobs. I was substitute teaching.
Right.
So I got an alert on my phone. I'm like, they got Nikola Vucevic. I heard nothing about that. And I mean, I was doing the podcast at that time. There was nothing connecting the Bulls to Nikola Vucevic. So we don't know what direction these guys are going to go. But you look at this roster, to me, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and I hate to say this, but it's got to be part of the conversation. Alex Caruso have the highest trade values right now.
Right. Yeah, I think one of those 3 have to go. But I think you maybe keep Alex just for his defensive purposes because his team is terrible defensively. But I think maybe get another big man, a quality big man for Vooch, or maybe keep Drummond and bring another guy off the bench. Like I said, I don't know. Go small and just see how things work out. But they definitely have to do something, and something has to be done. Probably ASAP.
Well, Billy Donovan's had success with small rosters too.
Right.
Like you can play small and succeed. You got to be prepared to go against, your Giannis's, your Joel Embiid's. I mean, you go against those like your Jokic, even if you play on the Western Conference side. Like you got guys you got to go against, but you can succeed with a small ball lineup. You just got to improve the 3-point shooting if you do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's the biggest thing. If you're going to go play small, you got to be able to shoot the 3 ball and play defense because at the end of the day, you're just going to switch everything, all that kind of stuff anyway. But you got to be able to make plays, have guys who can get it off the dribble and get to the basket. But 3-point shooting is definitely high in today's NBA.
And it's January 2nd we're recording this. I don't have names yet. I mean, it's just the start of trade season because you're a month out here. I say again, the Bulls are the 11 seed right now. I still think this team can sneak in the play-in tournament. To me, the play-in tournament is not the end of the world because that's where I thought they'd be. I mean, so you could get into, they were the 10 seed versus the 7 seed. My expectation was the play-in tournament anyway. That's how I'm going to look at this. And who knows, it could be a higher seed depending. I mean, I don't know if you saw Shams' report that Nate McMillan has apparently considered resigning his position.
I saw that. Yeah. That's crazy.
I still think that Atlanta situation could have big impacts on the Bulls too. So I don't want this team to mortgage everything right now because you can still back your way into the playoffs. And Billy Donovan has taken teams that should not be in the playoffs to the postseason.
Yeah, like I said, they still have enough to win, even if they make a couple moves. They're not far out of the play-in, like you said. And even if they, get to the play-in, win the game, and get to the playoffs and be the eighth seed, I don't think anyone thought the Bulls were going to win the championship this year. I think if they get to the playoffs as the eighth seed, maybe even upset the one seed, that's a great season in their eyes. So I think that's something very capable that they can do. Whoever gets the one seed, they can definitely beat them.
And they've proven they can beat the top teams in the league. We had this discussion last week. They can't beat the bad teams.
Right.
I was really happy that they beat the Pistons. I mean, they won by 24. The game was not that much of a blowout until toward the end. Like, I mean, the Pistons kept pace with them because the Pistons, they're a young, scrappy team. They got nothing to lose. That those teams scare me. I talked about that at length. But this week, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Utah, Boston, those are the teams that, okay, if you want this chatter to stop, if you want people like us to quit sitting here saying, okay, trade this guy, I think you've got to win 3 of these games.
Oh yeah, for sure. If not all of them, these are the teams that you may see in the playoffs. So I think this is a great test for them to see how much they've learned from the past. And I think a couple of these teams they beat already, so definitely capable of winning these games. Just are they going to be consistent? We don't want them to win one game and then the next 2 win or lose the next 2 or whatever. So we want to be consistent and win, at least 3 or 4 of these games, especially against these great teams.
They've beaten Brooklyn. They've beaten Boston. I don't think they've beaten Philadelphia. They came close, but they can't stop Joel Embiid. I mean, he is just a Bulls killer.
Yep. He's they have nobody for him. I don't think anyone in the league has anything for him, really. So it's very tough for them to guard him, but hopefully Vooch can do something with him. Maybe throw some more double teams at him, and maybe just use the fouls on him. I don't know, make him tired.
I mean, if you can get him to foul out, great. I mean, that was the strategy with Giannis when they went to overtime with the Bucks. Like, Giannis had 5 fouls. Just attack the rim and try to draw a foul, because then he's out of the game. You don't have to worry about him anymore. Like,
right, yeah.
That goes back to our conversation about going with a small lineup too. Is you run into these guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Bulls just set up with too many jump shots. Also, that's the biggest thing for them. And if they can attack the basket, keep being aggressive, and put the onus on the refs to make a call, I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a foul called at some point.
Unless it's DeMar shooting a buzzer beater and it doesn't get called. Which I watched that replay. I didn't think initially it was a foul, but I didn't watch it enough times to dive into that.
I didn't think it was a foul either. I just thought maybe he just missed it. Just miscalculated the shot or whatever. But the last 2 minute report said he got fouled. So hey, he should have got fouled.
I agree with you. What's the point of the last 2 minute report besides just pissing fans off?
Too many analytics these days. Just let the game be played, man. It's too much.
I mean, I like to know when the refs got one right and got one wrong. Like, I mean, I do that with baseball when like you got the home plate umpire, like, oh, he's got a 96% strike rate, which I don't think that even happens. But like, you've got a really strong, you call it like it is. Right. I like that stuff, but the last 2 minute report, most of the time, it just makes me angry.
Yeah, for sure. Especially as a fan or someone watching the game, I think it's just pointless. And I think if you're going to do that, you should find the refs or something. Because if they made a blow a call like that and it happens to knock the Bulls out of the playoff hunt for one game, that could be very critical to their season. And a lot of players can get mad at that, or the team or franchise or whatever. So I think something should be said for that last 2 minute report instead of just saying he got fouled. The ref should get fined or something. The next time they'll be more on point with the calls.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. And you talk about the margin of error here. We've talked about this. We are a year removed from DeMar DeRozan hitting back-to-back buzzer beaters on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. That was the difference between making the playoffs and making the play-in tournament last year. So the margin of error is slim, especially when you're 4 games under 500, 36 games through the season.
Yeah. Those things are very close and critical. So, there's really nothing you can do about it, but just move on to the next game. But hopefully, they're not in that situation again.
Yeah, and you got, again, opportunities is going to be the key word here. These games, none of these are going to be easy because Cleveland's got a big roster too. Brooklyn, what about Brooklyn? They've won 11 in a row or something like that. They are just
crazy. Yeah,
it's unreal considering where they were. Yeah, where they were the last time the Bulls played them. That was right after they fired or Steve Nash resigned. I got to get that right. They did not fire Steve Nash. Steve Nash resigned, and you had the Kyrie situation, and now they're red hot. Philadelphia, the Bulls just cannot beat the Sixers. I will be very surprised if they beat Philadelphia. Utah, they have beaten Utah, by the way, which that situation, I think they're coming back down to earth. And then you got Boston, who's also hot, but you've beaten them twice. So you got a really good chance here to win 3 of these games. But I'm with you. The more I'm thinking about it, 3-2 would maybe quiet some of the chatter about blowing this thing up and making big trades.
Yeah.
You win all 5 here, you're going to shut a lot of people up.
Yeah, you're back in contention. You're back at 500 or whatever, and you're back into getting that confidence that you once had, especially from last year, and just rolling the second half of the season. That's what you want going to into the new year.
Yeah, and we're in trade season. It is officially. I mean, the trade deadline right now it's a month and a week away from when we're recording this. And I'm going to use a line from Ross Dellinger. He covers college football for Sports Illustrated. Consider everything, believe nothing. I think that's the best way to approach trade season. He uses that for the coaching carousel and transfer portal and all that college football. Yeah. I think it applies really well here because you're going to hear rumors. You're going to hear everybody. You're going to hear Kobe White's name come up. You're probably going to hear Zach's name come up. Yeah. You're going to hear DeMar, Vooch. I mean, everything to me, everybody on the roster besides, I think you keep Zach. I don't think you trade Zach right now. You definitely don't trade Ayo Dosunmu right now. Right. If you can keep Caruso, unless they throw you a bag with a bunch of picks,
right,
then you keep Caruso. Other than that, even Kobe White, I think everybody's available.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I said before, everybody's on the table. You want to listen to any and every offer to see if that makes your team any better. But like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if they say Billy Donovan's going to be fired or something like that. So like you said, consider everything and believe nothing until it happens.
Well, I think Billy's safe because he signed that extension in the offseason, which I still have my thoughts on how that was handled. Like, I don't know why you don't put out a press release. Just give him a victory lap or something. You made the playoffs. After you make the playoffs, you're riding high. So you lost. So you got blown out by the Bucks. I didn't think they were going to beat the Bucks. I was hoping they would, but I didn't think they were going to. You can say, hey, we made the playoffs. He took this roster there. We're going to reward him with an extension. Not enough with the secret stuff. I don't like secrets.
Yeah, that's what I said. You never know. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's rumors out there that they want to fire him or whatever and move in a different direction. So like I said, it's during this time, it's going to be crazy, the things you hear, the things that are actually true. So like I said, just believe nothing until it really happens.
Well, and that's like all these accounts. I mean, there are insiders all over the place. I'm talking like there are people you've never heard of that are like, hey, I've got sources telling me that the Mavericks are interested in Zach LaVine, or like there are people in the front office that are big fans of Zach LaVine. To me, that reads like, okay, you talked to a couple people who were maybe they like Zach LaVine's game and they work in the Mavericks front office. I don't know the details with sources. I've been there. You hear from a lot of different people in this job, and I don't want to knock anybody's sources. I don't want to sound like I'm saying that. But my point is, the louder it gets, the more maybe you buy stock into it. Like these passing rumors, this is where social media gets crazy. Like, I mean, I know we aggregate. It's what we do on the show. I don't do my original reporting here. I try to vet these as best I can and see if I can find it multiple places.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially on social media, you read and hear anything, and all these bot accounts, you never know what's true, what's fake, or these accounts which are true or fake. So, like I said, I'll just if Woj doesn't say it, then it's not true yet.
Or Shams. Shams is my guy.
Right, yeah, Shams. More so Woj.
Shams, by the way, Shams, proud graduate of Loyola Chicago, by the way. So we gotta represent the Ramblers here. I mean, Shams, that's my dude. Like, so if Shams and Woj are obviously the big ones, but I mean, you got Jake Fisher, who he used to be at Bleacher Report, now he's at Yahoo. He does great work. Chris Haynes at Bleacher Report, like. Yep. These guys are usually the ones in the know, and there's other ones too, like Mark Stein still around, and Brian Windhorst, Windy, like he still knows stuff. Like there's accounts to follow here, and there's other like I know like Scoopy Robinson's one of my guys too. We had him on the show when I was at Loyola. Like he has sources too. He's broken stuff. Like there are guys you follow for this. You've just got to be really careful treading the waters here as you follow these rumors, and don't latch on to like stupid stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, that's a great quote. Believe nothing until it really happens. But like you said, this is definitely the time of where all these rumors will start coming out, and hopefully, it's to make the Bulls better, not worse.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal here. I don't want this thing blown up. I'm tired of those calls. Like they were, let's say this record was 6-36. Obviously, something's really wrong. You've got to blow this thing up. 4 games under 500. Like,
yeah, you're right there still. Yeah, there's no need to hit the panic button. You're lightly pressing it, but not really hitting it yet.
Right. And you look at the standings. Like, I mean, I had the standings up earlier. They are technically, in terms of like games played and everything, they are technically tied with the Wizards in terms of like record. The Bulls have played 2 less games, therefore it's a tie. But in terms of winning percentage, they're a game back in the win column, a game back in the loss column. So they're close here. And I mean, Atlanta, I'm still monitoring that situation in Atlanta. I mean, I've talked about the last 3 weeks here. That has my eye, especially after Shams' report about Nate McMillan. But I mean, it's jam-packed here. I still think if you make the play-in tournament, you're not out of the lottery in the play-in tournament. You've got to make the playoffs to be out of the lottery. Like, they're still in a good spot. It's not time to even think about tank for Wembanyama. There is so much that needs to happen to get the number one pick. It's not worth it.
Right, yeah, and we have like one of the easiest schedules too, going forward.
Yes.
So I think that's a great, boost to the team's confidence right there, that we can still change and turn this thing around.
Like we talked about this week here, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Utah, Boston. That's a gauntlet right there.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia and Utah is back-to-back. Like, that's not easy. Then you've got, the Wizards, the Thunder, the Warriors, the Pistons again, the Hawks, the Pacers, the Hornets, the Magic. Like, things, it get through this, and then you're smooth sailing. If you want to be able to, you've got to be able to beat Washington. You got to be able to beat Atlanta. You do that. If you beat Indiana too, like, you're going to put yourself in that play-in conversation, and you're going to end all of this talks about blow up. Like, no, make some moves, build for the future, but also stay competitive now. That's why a guy like maybe even Jakob Poeltl is a guy that they can maybe make that happen. Oh, there were rumors about that last year. If you want a big guy, like, there are guys out there that can still help you be competitive.
Oh yeah, for sure. They got to win, like I said, 3 or 4 in a row, keep that streak going, and not win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1, or lose 2. They got to be 3 or 4, more 5 or 6, something like that, just to get back over 500 and get some cushion.
None of these 3-game win streaks and blowout losses to bad teams. And I mean, I know we talk about the Rockets having high upside. That's a bad team. You cannot lose to the Houston Rockets this year, especially at home. That's a bad road team.
Not at home. Yeah, terrible.
Like, so you've got to win the games you're supposed to win, and that's going to make a world of difference here. But, trade season's here. We're going to talk. We're going to probably bring up rumors or go around like the rumor mill, any names or anything. We're going to go through that this next month. I mean, bear with us. We're going to help you out here to navigate the landscape here, because there's so many reports and rumors and everything. Like, I try to do a good job at aggregating and telling you like what other people are hearing and giving them credit and everything. We're going to do the best we can to navigate it here. So stick with us. It's going to be a busy month on the court, off the court. A lot of things are going to happen here. I mean, it's exciting. It makes it fun for us. Like, we get to talk about all these what if scenarios. Like, that's fun. It just gets chaotic.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely don't believe us either. Just believe the
reports. Notice I quit giving out picks on the Bet Online reads here. Don't believe us. I mean, we'll tell you what other people are saying. We're just the messengers here.
Right.
Like,
don't shoot the messenger. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, please. I mean, subscribe to us, please. Like, we promise. We try to we're the messenger here. We're trying to provide you with information. We're doing the work so you don't have to. That way you can chill out. You can unplug from your phone. I cannot unplug from my phone for some reason. So I got you. I got you covered. We got you.
Yeah.
We're going to have you covered here through the next month. You're on Believe in Bulls. You're on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag. By the way, that promo code is really good. 50% welcome bonus. There's so much going on right now in sports. It's so great. Buy our shirt too. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, exclusively at the Believe shop. CJ, this is a big month coming up here. We're going to start with the big week though, in terms of games. Like, we're going to reconvene here Thursday for Friday's show. We're going to learn a lot in the next few days.
Oh yeah, we're going to see where their mentality is at, where their mindset is at, and how much dogfight they got in them to really turn this thing around. So hopefully we're talking positive on Thursday and not negative.
Yeah, that's the hope. Hopefully we can talk about a win. I keep saying I'm tired of talking about losses.
Right, for sure.
And I think all but like 2 episodes they have lost before we've recorded. Like, please win. I just want to talk about some wins and not have to talk about, here they won, but then they lost.
Right, yeah.
No, I'm tired of that.
Keep our day positive and brighten and not making it worse.
Exactly. We will see you back here later this week. Enjoy the games and enjoy trade season. We'll see you back here Friday.
Thank you for watching Believe. You can find more great content at Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Do you believe?